Hello and welcome to the daily cricket show, Cricket Happenings. Well, on this cricket happening show, there's a lot of things to share today. Um, the first thing that I would like to start off by saying that yesterday, on the first day, where New Zealand were actually making history by hosting their first ever day night test match with the pink ball under lights. Well, for New Zealand, it was a great moment as there was some tremendous exhibition of swing bowling from the left arm seamer Trent Boult, added with some good pace as well, and also Tim Southee at the other end totally decimated the Englishmen. And it's only because of, in fact, there were only two bowlers used, and the England were bowled out in 20 odd overs for just 58 runs, and that was something of a shame for England. But it was a tremendous exhibition of swing bowling from Trent Boult at one end. At the other end was Tim Southee, and it was a treat to watch it. And it's only because of Craig Overton, who scored 33 runs by taking the attack to the New Zealand bowlers, that England saved the ignominy of not finishing with their lowest ever score in Test cricket, which is 45. But to be very frank, it was a very not a good display, even though it was a tremendous exhibition of swing bowling with the pink ball. I thought that England could have played much better by applying themselves, which they didn't do. There was wrong judgment. A lot of times we saw wrong judgment being made by the batsmen, and that resulted in the demise of this England team, as England were bowled out, demise of the England innings, I would say, and they were bowled out for just 58 runs, and New Zealand actually finished the day at 175 for 3. They have taken a very handy lead, as you know, over 100 runs right now, and their captain Kane Williamson was just 9 short of another test century. So definitely I think England are having their backs to their wall right now in this. So this is something that I will just have a brief look later. That is one thing that I'll be looking at, and other than that, the test match between Australia and South Africa today was the third test match which was played, and as you know, Kagiso Rabada was back in the mix. South Africa won the toss at Newlands in Cape Town, and South Africa were led by a Dean Elgar innings who kept on digging the whole day to be not out on 121 at close of play. But South Africa were doing very well, I thought. Initially they lost 2 wickets, but they were doing well at one stage. In the first session they lost 2 wickets. In the second session there was no wicket lost with Dean Elgar and A.B. de Villiers at the crease. But what happened in the final session was something that South Africa would definitely like to forget. There was a real burst of bowling from Patrick Cummins, who extracted some life out of a lifeless pitch, one could say, and he put the batsman in trouble. And definitely one could have said that, you know, South Africa were coasting along with the score on 220 for 2 at one stage. But you look at the close of play score, thanks to Patrick Cummins hitting them hard. The South Africans at close of play on the first day of the third test match against Australia were reduced to 266 for 8, and Dean Elgar was there still probably chasing a record to equal, whereas, you know, Desmond Haynes of West Indies is the one who has carried his bat through the innings 3 times, and he holds the record. If Dean Elgar could equal it, that would be interesting to see, with 2 wickets to go for South Africa. So Australia definitely wresting the honours from South Africa on the first day. And the other thing, there was a sort of a real, I would say, host Zimbabwe were totally surprised today as host Zimbabwe they lost to the United Arab Emirates by 3 runs, and that is not a good feeling, especially considering that Zimbabwe are hosting the tournament. They lost by the Duckworth Lewis method, with the target being pruned down from 235 for 7 United Arab Emirates made, and Zimbabwe were told to get 230 and they could get only 226 for 7 in the 40 overs. And I have to say, now Zimbabwe's chances of reaching, now it's almost next to nil. The only one way that the host Zimbabwe can reach the final is by, if at all, the Ireland-Afghanistan match, which is going to be a knockout, which will decide whichever team wins, faces West Indies in the final on Sunday in the ICC World Cup qualifiers. And the Zimbabwean team was totally gutted after losing United Arab Emirates. They have been doing a great job in this particular tournament, and I think it would be very sad, because I do remember that Zimbabwe made their debut in the year 1983, I reckon, and since then they have never looked back. They have played in every World Cup, and unfortunately one does not know what is in store, but I can say that Zimbabwean team were totally gutted, and so the only way Zimbabwe could actually go to the finals is something which is very rare to happen, and that is the Ireland-Afghanistan tie has to end in a tie. If that happens, Zimbabwe, the virtue of run rate, would sail through. And as I said, the Ireland-Afghanistan match assumes greater significance, as only one of the teams would be going into the World Cup 2019. So whichever team wins, I would say they have already clinched a spot in the World Cup 2019. So that should be a crunch game, according to me. Well, dear fans, I'm sorry, dear fans, my throat is a bit sore, but as I always say, cricket is a great passion for me, and I'm always there. So I do my bit and see what I can bring to the table here. Okay, so now in a very brief manner, we will look at first the New Zealand versus South Africa. We'll look at the first day's play between New Zealand and England. And as I said, New Zealand were making history at Eden Park in Auckland. The ground was looking superb. It was looking in ship shape, I would say, and also there was a nice crowd out there. The lights, under the lights, you could see the pink ball, how it was doing a lot of damage to England. And look at the way under cloudless skies, England, the New Zealand captain Kane Williamson, winning the toss, inserted England into bat, and it was really a big disaster for England, as tremendous swing bowling from Trent Boult was displayed in full measure. At the other end, Saudi was operating with him in tandem. If you look at the England card, the England were bowled out for 58, and they were only 20, they were bowled out in 20.4 overs, and that is not Test cricket, according to me. So looking at the card here, Alistair Cook was the first one, got a ball that swung away from him, an outswinger. Caught Latham bowled for 5. Stoneman was caught behind by Watling of the bowling of Saudi, with the ball swinging away from the batsman. He was gone for 11, 2 boundaries. Joe Root didn't know anything about it. It was a wonderful ball from Trent Boult that went on to knock his stumps. It was an in-swinger. He was gone for naught. David Mallon was caught behind the bowling of Boult for 2. Ben Stokes was a big wicket, as Ben Stokes probably was trying to cover his stumps after seeing the way the captain Joe Root was bowled, and in the process the Boult's delivery actually kept coming at him and beat him for real pace and struck the stumps, and he was gone for naught. Jonathan Barristow drove into the hands of Tim Southee, caught and bowled for naught. Moeen Ali was bowled by Southee for naught. Chris Woakes was bowled by Boult for 5, and then, as I said, England were in the process of succumbing to their lowest ever test score, 45, but Craig Overton came there and slammed an unbeaten 33 of 25 deliveries, 5 fours and 1 6 to actually save England, save England's face and finally he remained not out after taking the attack to the New Zealand bowlers. And he was the highest scorer with 33, and there were only 2 people who reached double figures. One was Overton, not out, 33, and the other was Stoneman for 11. And the scorecard made really pathetic reading, as Broad was out for 0, Anderson for 1, and look at the bowling figures from Trent Boult. He returned career best figures of 6 for 32, 10.4 overs, 3 maidens, 32 runs and 6 wickets. Tim Southey, 10 overs, 3 maidens, 25 runs and 4 wickets. It was a display of immaculate swing bowling, but as I said, England could have applied themselves, which they failed to do, and they have now suffering for that, as New Zealand, replying to that 58 all out from England, closed the day at 175 for 3. They lost G. Travel, with Anderson claiming his wicket by getting him caught by Bairstow for 3. Latham made 26 went to the bowling for Broad for 3 fours. But Kane Williamson was playing in the classical style of his, which he is known for, and he was in no trouble at all. He kept going at the England bowlers, and with some nice defence interspersed with some very good strokes as well, as Williamson finished on an unbeaten 91 with 10 fours and 1 6. Ross Taylor was out for 20 to the bowling of Anderson with 3 boundaries. Henry Nicholls was doing a good job there, keeping company to Williamson on 24 and out, 2 boundaries, as New Zealand took a 117 runs lead in the front with 175 for 3, the close of play score. Anderson 13-4, 32 runs and 2 wickets, was the most successful bowler. Broad 15 overs, 4 minutes, 24 runs and 1 wicket, has become the youngest England bowler to take 400 wickets, and that's a great thing that Broad has done. I mean, not only the youngest England bowler, he's the youngest bowler in the history of Test cricket to have taken the 400th wicket in lesser number of tests. Overton 15 overs, 43 runs, no wicket. Woakes 15 overs, 5 minutes, none for 36. Moeen Ali 11 overs, 1 maiden, none for 34. Now we shift the attention down to the South Africa versus Australia game, which was the first day of the 3rd test match between South Africa and Australia. And South Africa batted first, and they were in trouble right away, as Markram got a wonderful delivery from Hazelwood, which really left him, and he was caught by Smith for 0. That was the first wicket. After that, Hashim Amla joined hands with Dean Elgar. Hashim Amla did play some nice strokes of his, the trademark strokes, the cover drive, but then after making 31 of 3 boundaries, he fell to Hazelwood. Now that was lunchtime. So at the first session, they lost 2 wickets. In the second session, it was a sort of a big recovery for South Africa, as A.B. de Villiers combined with Dean Elgar. Dean Elgar was doing the digging job very well. He was occupying the crease and seeing to it that he was wearing off the Australian bowlers. A.B. de Villiers, on the other hand, was doing a good job as well, as he reached 50. And this partnership, from 92 for 2 at lunchtime, the score rose to, from 92, as I said, the score rose to 220. So you could 128 run partnership, which was done very well between Dean Elgar and A.B. de Villiers. But then this was the start, 220 for 2. I mean, the Australians were in a very, very good position, and that was and they did not lose a wicket in the second session at all. And I think there was not much in the pitch for the bowlers, but Cummins definitely started it all in the final session. They lost 6 wickets for 37 runs, as Cummins was the one who started it all, but first getting rid of A.B. de Villiers, which was a sort of a great relief for them as they broke that partnership, and he was caught by Warner of the bowling of Cummins for 64 with 10 boundaries. Du Plessis continued his poor form. It is his 7th innings where he has not contributed much. He was gone for just 5 runs with just 1 boundary. And then Tenda Bavuma, who was playing today, was gone to Cummins for 1. Quinton de Kock tried to pull a delivery from Cummins and he paid the penalty. He was caught by Payne for 3, and only Dean Elgar was the one who was staying there at the other end and watching a sort of a real collapse from the South African batsman. Philander's wicket was taken by Marsh for 8 with 1 boundary. Keshav Maharaj trying to hit a ball from Stark was out for 3, and Rabada was not out on 6 at close. Dean Elgar has got his 11th Test century. He was not out on 121 with 17 fours and 1 6, and Dean Elgar is definitely turning out to be a sort of a wonderful player for South Africa as an opener, as he is the one who steadies the innings, and then he goes and wears out the bowlers, and he is someone on whom South Africa could always rely. Stark 1 for 81, but look at the bowling figures from Cummins, who was the one who was responsible for South Africa being 266 for 8 at close of play. 21 overs, 4 maidens, 64 runs and 4 wickets to Patrick Cummins. Hazelwood 18 overs, 4 maidens, 2 for 37, 19 6 39. No returns for Nathan Lyon, the runner Murphy. Mitchell Marsh 7 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 26. Stevens with 1 over, which was a maiden. So definitely, I think, as I said, the Australia resting the honours from South Africa in the final session by reducing them to 266 for 8. Now we go on to the 32nd match. As I said, the host Zimbabwe today were almost put out of the competition. They have one slender chance, and that is something which is very unlikely to happen, and that is if the match between Ireland and Afghanistan results in a tie, the host Zimbabwe can reach the finals. Other than that, their chances are absolutely null right now. So let's have a look at the card here. So it was United Arab Emirates who batted first, and they put on 235 for 7 on the board, and it was they were bowled out in the 47.5 overs. The highest scorer, in fact, there were good contributions, I thought. Rohan Mustafa at the top, making 31 of 58, 3 boundaries in that. Ashfaq Ahmed 10 of 12 balls, 2 fours. Ghulam Shabbar contributed 40 of 62, 4 fours, 1 6. Ramesh Shahzad was the highest scorer with 59 of 61, 4 fours, 2 sixes. Shaiman Anwar has shown in this particular tournament that he can play a waiting game as well. 33 of 51 balls, 3 fours. Usman 4, Adnan Multi not at 10. Raza made 8. Mohammad Naveed, as he normally does in every match for United Arab Emirates that I've seen, that he comes during the slog in the death overs and he slogs the opposition bowlers for plenty, and that's what he precisely did with an unbeaten 22 of just 10 balls, 3 fours and 1 6, which enabled the United Arab Emirates team to reach 235 for 7. The wicket bag, Jarvis 8 overs, 2 minutes, none for 38, 2 for 49 for Chatara, 1 for 40 Muzrabani, 3 for 41 Sikandar Raza. Creamer bowled well, none for 34, and Zimbabwe were given a revised target of 230 runs for 40 overs due to by the Duckworth Lewis method. And today one does not know what was the reason that whether Sefa Zuo, the hard hitter, was injured or whether he was dropped. One does not know, but he was not there in the team. And today Hamilton Masakadza was opening with Solomon Meyer, and they lost both their openers pretty quickly for 6 and 7 respectively. And Peter Moore was included today. Peter Moore contributed 39 of 61 balls, 2 fours. Brendan Taylor made 15. Sean Williams really steadied the Zimbabwean innings with a nice knock of 80 with a runner ball stuff with 5 fours and 1 6. Raza making 34 of 26, 2 fours, 1 6. But then they could not make 230 runs, and thus Zimbabwe, the hosts, definitely were totally gutted when they lost to the United Arab Emirates. And United Arab Emirates getting their first ever win over a ODI nation like Zimbabwe. Irvine was not out 22 of 17. Creamer was out for naught. Jarvis not out 6. And that really left these Zimbabweans to really ponder. As I said, they are more or less out of the World Cup 2019 unless a miracle happens between Ireland and Afghanistan. As I said, it should end in a tie, which will help, and this has really helped, and this win by United Arab Emirates has really helped Afghanistan in my reckoning. Mohammad Naveed 8 overs 3 for 40, Khalid Ahmed 1 for 38, bowled with lots of pace. Mohammad Naveed. Amir Hayat 8 overs 9 for 47, he was clocked. Mohammad Naveed was clocked at 140 on a particular delivery. Ahmed Raza bowled well. He took one important wicket according to me, and that was Brendan Taylor. This was the stock ball from Ahmed Raza, the left arm spinner, and the armour, as we call it, for the left arm spinner. The ball went straight in, and Brendan Taylor was a bit wrong in his judgment, as his timber was disturbed. Rohan Mustafa 8 overs 2 for 56 was a bit costly, and Mohammad Naveed, for his all-round efforts, gained the Man of the Match award. Well, dear fans and subscribers, there's nothing else to talk. It's about time for me to bid you all a very good night. Thank you.